Transfer learning. So pre-trained models, those models which are already trained on images, require far less data. So that solves the problem that we had with deep learning models before, where you had to have a ton of data before you could even get to first base. Used to be, if you wanted to use a deep learning model, that was great, but you needed to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of examples before you could train something out to do something useful. Now, you can pick up a model off the shelf and actually begin to use it to solve real-world problems. The other thing which is interesting about and useful about deep learning models is you can solve one problem. Solving one problem might partially solve another problem. One of my favorite examples of this is through chatbots. So Rasa is a chatbot framework which you can use to actually build chatbots, either using text. You can also use it as a sort of a back-end use verbal models as well. With this, they built this on top of deep learning models. And the advantage that they got from building all of their work on deep learning models was that the very first time that they had to build and to train a chatbot is effortful. So a chatbot, for example, on taking reservations for hotels. So they built a chatbot. They trained it on all the intentions of people calling and the proper responses. But because this was built on a deep learning model, the model was not only learning just the exact sort of by rote responses, it was also learning things like the concept of reservation, the concept of cancel, of reschedule. So taking this model, which was trained on hotels, they were able to, with and that required many, many training examples to get this first one up and running. They're able then to apply it to airline reservations. And there they needed far, far fewer training examples, because now there was already the concept of cancellation, of booking, of changing time. All of those were there. And so that retraining of the chatbot to work really well for airline reservations required less data and was faster to do. So Kevin, you had a question, are most models open source, or are models being built to sell? Both, but there are actually a lot of open source models, especially around that come out of research groups, and often groups like Facebook and Google will eventually open source theirs. It's kind of funny, OpenAI, which built GPT-2, has released their source code but a bit later, but they are releasing it as well. It requires some work, so it's not a completed process, a completed project that you just sort of plug in, but you can often go and get the code, and with a data science team or with a good data scientist, actually use these for solutions. I'll show you an example of one actually that I was able to build on just a few lines of code.